Chapter 1, Section 1 is titled Variables and Expressions. Some vocab terms that I'd like you to write down. First is a variable, which is a letter or symbol that's used to represent a value that can change. An algebraic expression is a mathematical phrase that includes numbers, variables, and operation symbols, but no equals sign. A constant is a value that does not change. And a numerical expression is an expression that only contains constants and operations. So the difference between an algebraic expression and a numerical expression is what? An algebraic expression contains variables, so letters, whereas a numerical expression does not. When we're writing mathematical operations using words, you're going to need to know that there are a lot of words that also mean addition and subtraction, multiplication, and division. So let's look at the list. The words sum, increased by, more than, total, added to, and plus are all words that indicate addition, and you will use or see the symbol, the plus sign. For subtraction, you'll see the words difference, decreased by, minus, less than, subtracted from, and we use the symbol, the minus sign. For multiplication, we have product, times, of, twice, per, and we can use many different signs here for multiplication. We have the x, the dot, and parentheses. And when we're using variables, oftentimes multiplication won't have a symbol at all. For division, we have quotient and divided by, and we use the traditional division symbol or a fraction bar. That also indicates division. So let's look at some examples where we are given an algebraic expression and we need to write it in words. The directions here are to give two ways. So what we have here is x plus 5. Remember that plus is one of the words that indicates addition, so we can use that as we're writing this out in words. So we would write x plus 5. And typically we spell the numbers out. So what's another way? If we go back and look at the list, we could use the word sum, increased by, more than, total, or added to. So let's use increased by. We would say x increased by 5. Now you might have noticed in that list that the words more than and less than are in red. And that's because when you are writing the algebraic expression in words and you're going to use more than or less than, you actually need to switch the order of the x and the 5. So here we would say 5, and for addition we use more than x. And that's something you're just going to have to remember. Now for addition, technically order doesn't matter, but for subtraction it absolutely does. So just get in the habit of every time you see more than and less than to flip the order. So number 2, we have n minus 5. Minus is one of the words that means subtraction, so we can write n minus 5. And we only have to give two ways here, so let's use that less than. Remember, more than and less than mean addition and subtraction, but we need to flip the order. So we would say 5 less than n. A few more examples, two ways to write the expression in words. So we have a fraction here for number 3, and it's x over 8. When we have a fraction, that actually indicates division. Remember our symbols from the previous slide. So we could say x divided by 8. The other word we use for division is quotient, And when we say the quotient of two numbers, whichever number you list first, that's the one that goes on top. So we would say the quotient of x and 8. For example 4, we have negative 6y. And we actually don't have a symbol here. There's not an addition sign, there's not a subtraction sign. Don't get a negative confused with a subtraction. We don't have division, and we can't see a multiplication, but remember I explained that when you have a number and a variable, if they're just side by side with no symbol, it actually means multiplication. You could write this as negative 6 times y. You could use parentheses. That also indicates multiplication. So we have lots of words for multiplication. Product is one of them. So we could say the product of negative 6 and y. Another word for multiplication is times. So you could write negative 6 times y. And if you go back up to example 3, I really should have written out the number 8. Okay, so let's go the other way. Let's translate from words into an algebraic expression. So we're going to have to be looking for numbers, variables, and operations. John types 62 words per minute. Write an expression for the number of words he types in m minutes. So our variable is m. We also have the number 62, and we need to try to find the word that's going to indicate which operation we want to use. And here I see per. Remember that per means multiplication. So if we were to write this in an algebraic expression, we would say 62 times m. You could also just write 62m. You could put them in parentheses, or you could use the x. All 4 of those would be correct. Let's look at number 6. Roberto is 4 years older than Emily, who is y years old. Write an expression for Roberto's age. So we have the number 4, our variable y, and we're looking for the word or words that are going to indicate which mathematical operation to use. And here I see older than. Older than indicates addition. Remember though, this is very similar to more than, which means we need to flip our order. So instead of saying 4 plus y, we're going to say y plus 4. Example 7, if you want to pause the video here and try this one on your own, and then check your answer. Joey earns $5 for each car he washes. Write an expression for the number of cars Joey must wash to earn D dollars. So we've got 5, our variable D, and we're trying to figure out which operation we're going to use here. This one's a little tricky because it doesn't actually say a word anywhere, but we can think about this. If Joey's going to earn $25, let's say he does earn $25, how many cars did he wash? Well, we would take 25 and we would divide it by 5. That means he washed 5 cars. If Joey earned $50 and it was $5 each, that means he washed 10 cars. So the number on top is our variable. So we have D divided by 5. So however much money he earns, we divide it by 5 to find out how many cars he washed. When you evaluate an expression, it means that you are finding its value. So we will be substituting in numbers for the variables and then simplifying. So 2 more examples. Evaluate each expression if A equals 4, B equals 7, and C equals 2. So number 8, we have B minus C. Well, we're going to substitute in the numbers. So we have 7 minus 2, and we want to simplify and get 5. Number 9, AC. Remember, when there's not an actual symbol there, it means multiplication. So we have 4 times 2, and that's 8. So today we have taken algebraic expressions and written them as words. We have taken words and rewritten them as algebraic expressions, and you have evaluated. So in class, we're going to work on worksheet 1-1. This ends the video lesson for chapter 1, section 1.